Hello everybody, this is GeneralJannis, and today in Chaos Tactics I'm looking at the Lord of Virulence and Blightlords combo. I've been asked in the forums to do this calculation, and I'm doing it in this video. So with no further ado, let's get started. So today, the 7th of June, back from the road and 3 days before the Leviathan launch, and as I said in this video, looking at Lord of Virulence with his buffing the shooting range attacks of Terminators. It could be an interesting combo, adding it with the Blightlords. So looking at the abilities and the weapons, and then the damage output before a short summary. So looking at the abilities combo here, we have the Master of Destruction from Lord of Virulence. The unit that he's leading, when that unit makes a range attack, you can reroll the whole wound roll. LoV, Lord of Virulence, already rerolls himself for his twin-linked sprayer, so it doesn't benefit more from this. But this could be a nice nice boost to the Terminators he can lead. And as we have seen, Lord of Virulence as a leader, he can only join Blightlords or Death Shroud Terminators. The Death Shroud have limited shooting with a Strength 3, AB0, damage 1 pistols. Of course, he would also buff them, but the Blightlords have more shooting potential to be buffed by the Lord of Virulence. So I will be focusing this on this video. I will also make the data for the Blight Bombardment on this video for the Plague Scroller, for example, how much is he buffed by the Lord of Virulence. The Blightlord Terminators, now we also see what weapons they can take. So basically we can take them up to maximum 10 models, and the maximum we could take was six guys could take a combi weapon instead of the Plague Combi Bolter. The combi weapon is interesting, especially with Lord of Virulence, because it has devastating wounds and is anti-infantry 4+. That means that all four pluses to wound will deal mortal wounds on infantry, and with re-rolling everything, you have quite a good possibility of dishing out some mortal wounds, basically ignoring the toughness of the infantry, so that's quite nice against elite infantry. We have then 1 in 5 or 2 models total can take the Reaper autocannon. This has also devastating wounds. This is only on a 6+, but sustained hits can give more hits. And 2 models can take the Plague Spewer, and this is anti-infantry 2+. So maybe with this 6 combi weapons, 2 Reaper autocannons and 2 Plague Spewers, we can do some nice shooting damage that can more buffed by the Lord of Virulence. Remember though that Blightlord Terminators already reroll once to wound versus the closest target, and therefore then if you shoot at the closest target, the benefit, let's say, the comparative benefit from the Lord of Virulence becomes a bit smaller. And here we have the damage output of big man's 10-man squads of Blightlord Terminators with and without the Lord of Virulence buff. The table consists of the different squads, and then you have on the columns you have various targets from 10th edition they are shooting at. Here I'm assuming 12-inch shooting, so we also are in rapid fire range for the combi weapons or combi bolters, and also the spewers can reach here. The commas on the numbers are decimal points. And we start, let's say, with the first squad. This the first line, 10-man Blightlord Terminators. The basic output combi bolters, just 4 shots each, 12-inch shooting versus the closest enemy. They will be rerolling once to wound. That can do, let's say, 15 wounds on Termagants, 6 wounds on Intercessors. But then we are falling off the damage. For example, for Terminators or Blightlords, doesn't matter here. 2.4 wounds, not even killing one Terminator here. And then with vehicles also, it's mostly the lethal hits that can do it. AP0 is not really helping out this damage output. If we add the Lord of Virulence here, we can reroll all to wound instead of only rerolling once to wound. So damage improves, but still only, let's say, three wounds on Terminators here or Blightlords. A bit higher damage compared to only rerolling once to wound. But basically the lethal hits from the combi bolters don't really benefit. You would have liked some rerolls to hit for the Blightlords for the lethal hit weapons. If we add some special weapons to this squad, we have a 10-man squad again. 6 have the combi bolter. Then we have the 2 with the Reaper autocannon. It says just 2 auto here, and then 2 with the spewers. And if they are shooting the closest enemy, we can see we have increased damage compared to only using combi bolters. Of course, we don't know how much more expensive this will be, but 20 wounds against Termagants, 14 wounds against Necro Warriors, 10 wounds against intercessors, so that's 5 intercessors killed. 6 wounds against the Terminators, so the special weapons doing some damage here. 2 Terminators dead here, and also a bit more damage versus vehicles. And if we include the Lord of Virulence buff, we can get a little bit more wounds. So instead of 6.3 wounds on Terminators, we get 7 wounds on the Terminators and a little bit more damage overall. And then the squad that is more, let's say, that we described on the previous page, where we have more anti-elite infantry type of weapons. So here we have 10 man with the 6 Combiweapons, with a Reaper autocannon, the 2 spewers. And here I add 3 lines just to show you also if they are just shooting not the closest enemy first, and then if they shoot the closest enemy, and then including the Lord of Virulence buff. Here we can see we can bump up the damage output with the Lord of Virulence in the squad, shooting at enemy Terminators. We can do 9.7 wounds here instead of, let's say, if we didn't include the Lord of Virulence, we would be doing 8.4 wounds, so a little bit more wounds, a little bit more mortal wounds here. But we can see, let's say, the Combiweapons are let's say the best option versus elite infantry. So we could be taking out almost 4 enemy Terminators here. You see also the Lord of Virulence sprayer damage by himself. I haven't included that in the 10-man Blightlord's damage output, but you can see also he will be adding 1 more wound by himself, by his spewer. So in this case, almost 12 wounds here. The Lord of Virulence effect, if you are not shooting against the closest, this is around 35% more damage when you reroll everything. And if you already were shooting at the closest enemy, then his effect is only 15% more damage output. And of course, you should consider he's costing maybe today is almost like 3 Blightlords, but we don't know the point costs yet. If you want to see the data for half-man, let's say 5-man squads, you can halve the number of wounds. And interestingly, at the bottom, I added the Blightlords in melee. What are their damage output? This is quite interesting because this is only, it doesn't even include the flail. We just take the bubotic weapons here, and 10 Blightlords in melee with no further buffs. They can do 10 wounds to Terminators, and so they are still stronger in melee compared to shooting, even if the Lord of Virulence is buffing them. And please also keep in mind that this damage output looks quite interesting, but it's still, with the current points, we are talking about more than 500 points of the table, a quarter of your army, to do this type of damage output. So, reaching the summary and final thoughts, the Lord of Virulence has some nice shooting synergy with Blightlords. The combi weapon quite good versus elite infantry, like other Terminators, but still, interestingly enough, with all the buffs considered here, the Blightlords can do even more in melee. So maybe what will the Lord of Contagion buff them with? Could he be doing, let's say, more to hit rerolls or something like this? Because then that could help the Plague Bolters more to fish for more lethal hits. Could he also buff their melee damage output? The Lord of Virulence doesn't buff their melee prowess. But let's see when we get more rules. So I hope you enjoyed this analysis. Let me know in the comments. You find here the links for the Patreon page if you want to support my efforts bringing you all the data crunching. You can join the Discord channel in the links in the description or become a YouTube member. So with these words, GeneralJannis signing out. Stay safe out there and bye-bye.